Hi there, I'm Karen from Turn Up the Value and I'm delivering this presentation on behalf of Bolton CVS to help you explore the impacts of your funded project. What do we mean by impact? Often, when you receive funding for projects for your organisation, you are asked afterwards to report on the social impact you've delivered. But what do we actually mean by that? Simply put, it's just about the difference you've made. It's the change that happens because of the work you've delivered through your project. This change can be positive or maybe it's negative. For example, you might have had a positive impact on people's mental health, or you might have decreased loneliness and isolation for people. When we think about impact, this can relate to the difference you've made to a community as a whole, or it could be about the individuals you've worked with, or perhaps you've even made an impact on the environment, for example by planting trees. Exploring impact starts right at the beginning of your project when you first apply for funding. It's important to think about what is the goal of your project. What's the problem you're trying to solve? Why is this important? Who will benefit? And how does it meet your funder's priorities? Exploring these questions right at the start will help you to be clear on the difference you want to make, and it will be easier at the end of your project to look back and evaluate this. Different funders will have different priorities for the projects they want to support when applying for funding, make sure you're clear on what these priorities are and how your project will meet them. Here are the priorities for the Bolton Fund, which is one of the funding pots administered by Bolton CVS. Start well. This is all about how your project might give the best possible start in life to children in Bolton. Live well. This is about improving the happiness and well-being of Bolton's residents. Age well. Does this project help older people stay connected, active and healthy in their communities? Prosperous. Does your project support enterprise? Does it provide inclusive employment and maximise social value for Bolton? Clean and green. Does your project improve or promote enjoyment in Bolton's environment? Safe, strong and distinctive. Does your project help people in Bolton to stay safe, strong and live in more cohesive and confident communities? Here are some examples of some project goals and the activities that go along with them in order to help the project achieve these goals. Firstly, we have a goal of helping older people to feel less lonely and get more active. The activities that go along with this could be delivering a weekly knitting club or perhaps running a monthly coach trip for older people. In the second example, the goal is to make sure children don't go hungry. The activities that go along with this would be delivering a breakfast club or perhaps providing classes for parents about healthy eating. The third goal is to make the local area more attractive to wildlife. The activities would be to create a wildflower meadow and to deliver a class for local people to help them understand how to make bird boxes. Finally, the goal is to help people gain digital skills. You could achieve this by running an IT class at a local library or matching older people with younger people who can share those digital skills. Can you think which priorities under the Bolton Fund these goals would fall? When measuring impact, it's really useful to consider the outputs, outcomes and impacts of a project separately. The outputs of your project are the specific, immediate consequences of your activities that can be readily measured. They're usually numerical or quantitative. The outcomes are the short to medium term changes that you see in beneficiaries as a result of your project. What difference have you made as a result of your activities? These are usually more qualitative and can be described through stakeholder voices, for example, through the collection of survey data. Impact is a longer-term, sustained effect of your project. It will probably relate back to your project goals and hopefully to some of the funder's priorities. Impact mapping is a really useful way to break down and understand the difference your project will make. You can create an impact map at the start of your project and refer to it throughout. Have a look at this one. In this case, the project goal is to help older people feel less lonely and get more active. This relates to the Bolton's Fund priorities of age well and live well. The activities being delivered to achieve that goal are running a monthly coach trip, running weekly tea and toast and advice sessions, and delivering a weekly chair yoga session. Let's take the top line as an example. So if running a monthly coach trip is the activity, the outputs here are the number of trips that are being delivered and the number of people going on those trips. Those short to medium term outcomes of that activity will hopefully be decreased loneliness, decreased isolation, and people making new friendships, as well as improvements in mental health and increased happiness. The longer term impact here would be improved well-being and a more active community and improved quality of life for the people taking part in that activity. Once you've started delivering your project, it's important to keep a record of the outputs that you deliver. Remember, these are usually numbers, so you can develop simple systems to keep track of them. You might be able to use existing records, for example, sign-in sheets, and then record them so that you can track those changes over time. Do those numbers increase or decrease? You might want to use simple spreadsheets such as Microsoft Excel to be able to help you keep track of those numbers. When it comes to measuring the outcomes of your project, you'll need to ask the people who benefited from your activities, your stakeholders. They will be able to help you to measure that change and evidence the difference you've made to them. You might want to consider doing surveys before and after your project to measure that change. Photos and videos are also great at capturing that evidence, particularly for environmental projects like cleanups. You can capture quotes, case studies and stories, and they also really help to spell out and evidence the whole journey of your project and the difference it's made. Can you measure impact? As we've said, impact is hard to measure as it happens over a long time, but if you've received funding for a project, you can think about how far you've got towards achieving your overall project goal. You can also think about measuring impact for your whole organisation, not just for this project or for your funders, as this will be a way of evidencing the impact that your organisation makes over the months and years that you operate. Tracking your impact over time and producing an annual impact report will help towards this and give you a bigger picture of the overall difference your organisation makes. Thanks for listening to this presentation. If you'd like more information or resources, you can visit the CVS website and keep an eye out for any other training programmes coming up that you can attend by Turn Up the Value or other providers for Bolton CVS.